So what were the big themes of Pesach by the Rebbe? Huh? That's Emilchat B'Minusa, Emilchat Asvasa. It gives emunah and it gives refuah. And by the way, for those who do not know, Beruchnius Ha'inyanim, refuah is tshuva. Milchat B'Minusa means the bread of faith. Milchat Asvasa means the bread of healing. And the way it's brought out in Sfarim from the Zohar is the first Seder is Milchat B'Minusa, the bread of emunah. And the second Seder is Milchat Asvasa, is bread of refuah, which by the way, if you live in Eretz Yisrael, you don't have, because you have only one Seder. So the emunah is the matzah is a combination of emunah and tshuva. But in that order, not first tshuva and then emunah, first emunah, then tshuva. First Hashem took Yidden out of Mitzrayim, and then they started to count Sefira Sa'imid. Because Sefira Sa'imid is a tshuva-related idea. Sefira Sa'imid is the beater of the Nefesh HaBahamis. Because Oimed is, barley is Meichel Behem. You know this from Chasidus. Barley is animal food. So the korban Oimed represents the Mevadas and the Midas. That's why you have the Sefira. You count the beater Mevada, the Midas. You Mevada the Nefesh HaBahamis. You bring clarity to the animal soul. And that's the Avodah of Sefira. So first you have Amunah, and then immediately you have Tshuva. So if you live in Eretz Yisrael, you only have one Seder, so in the same Seder you have to have Amunah and you have to have Tshuva. If you live outside of Eretz Yisrael, and you have two Sedarim, so the first Seder the focus is on Amunah, and the second Seder the focus is on Tshuva, which is advantageous, which is better, right? Now, girls, there's a very interesting nafkamina lemaisa when this comes out, okay? Does anybody here know anything about other Jews outside Chabad? Are you all brainwashed, closed-minded, and stuck? Anybody have relatives or friends that go to a school? Anybody know Jews? You know non-Chabad Yidden? Yeah? Chassidim or Misnagdim, Sfardim or Ashkenazim? Huh? Misnagdim. So this is not going to work, but anybody else? Anybody know non-Chabad Chassidim? Yeah? You know? Yeah? When did they do the first Sefira? We're like Misnagdim on this. A lot of things we're like Misnagdim. You know Chassidim? They do Sefira after the second Seder, in the middle of the night. They finish the Haggadah, and if you look in the Peilish Haggadahs and Chassidish Haggadahs, I don't know what Sfardim do. Peilish Chassidim count the first Sefira at 2 o'clock in the morning, after the Seder. Now, Lubavitchers agree with the reason, but Lubavitchers are trapped between Halacha and Chassidus. The right time to count Sefira, especially the first Sefira, is the beginning of the day, beginning of the night. You're supposed to have complete days. You're supposed to count Sefira as soon as you can. Because you count Mitzvah Lemimna Yemna, you're supposed to count whole days. If you count the Sefira at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're missing the first 6 hours. So Al Pi Nigla, you have to count Sefira when we do, with Ma'ariv or after Ma'ariv. But Api Kabbalah, Sefira Sa'im is supposed to be after the Seder, because the Seder is Emunah and Sefira Sa'im is Tshuva. That's the reason for this custom of Peilish Chassidim, that they count the first Sefira at 2 o'clock in the morning. Why do the Chabadniks do like the Peilish? Because we have Misnagdish genes. When it comes to a lot of Yadam of Halacha, we don't do things Api Kabbalah, we do Api Halacha. So we hold that it's more important to do Sefira on time in the clock, rather than do Sefira on time in terms of the spiritual scheduling, is that after the Seder you should count Sefira. Because Sefira is Tshuva. And the Sedarim are a little bit of Amunah, a little bit of Tshuva, it's like a mix. So you finish with the two Sedarim and then you count Sefira. But we do Sefira on time. But that's how it breaks out. The Kazayis Matzah gives Amunah, and the Kazayis Matzah is an infant Tshuva, Refuah. It gives us an infant healing, infant Tshuva. So the Rebbe's kvetch when it comes to Matzah, which is important to hear, is that Rebbe says when eating a kazayis matzah, you're not eating bread which is a skula for Amunah, you're eating Amunah itself. That's what the Rebbe says. When you eat matzah, you're not eating bread which is a skula, it has a property that strengthens your Amunah. Eating matzah is poshet, eating Amunah as it's in a gash music form. A kazayis matzah is a shtikel Amunah, it's a piece of Amunah, it's a piece of Amunah, that's what matzah is. And I guess I'll say this. There are Yidden, there are even Yidden in Crown Heights, who because of Yireh Shamayim, because of Frumkeit, do not eat matzah whole Pesach. There are such Jews. There are Yidden who make matzahs just for the Seder. They eat matzahs by this daughter. That means they'll make literally 6 matzahs, or whatever number of matzahs need for their family members. And the rest of Pesach, they'll make Kiddush on wine. And then they'll kaveh suda on a second cup of wine. I have a daughter that has, they call it celiac. I don't know what they call it. She's not allowed to eat bread. So when we make Kiddush, she drinks another cup of wine. That's a kaveh suda. There's very frumy Yidden who don't eat matzah a whole Pesach, because the place in the whole house where there's the biggest risk of chametz, the place in your whole house, there's not going to be a chametz in your chicken soup unless you put noodles in, you understand? There's not going to be a chametz in your applesauce unless you put, ich weiß nicht was, chametz dicke matzah milk. There's not going to be, your food's not going to be chametz dick. Matzah is flour and water. It's the prime place for chametz to be. And if chas v'shalom the dough wasn't kneaded properly, or the matzah wasn't baked properly, the place to worry most about chametz is nekazayis matzah, which is of course part of the reason why the Alter Rebbe made such a big deal out of shruya, out of not eating gebroks, except for the last day of Pesach, because shruya is mixing matzah with water, and if chas v'shalom there is flour in the matzah, which is not fully kneaded with the dough, then it can become chametz very, very quickly. That's the halacha. So we're very particular about gebroks a whole Pesach. The last day Pesach, all of a sudden we become not just, we permit it, make a big deal out of it, mishum simchas yom tiv. The Rebbe had a custom, it says in the consumerism from the Minhagim, to dafke gebrok with every single tafshel, every food you eat gebroks. You know why? Because in Achad Pesach you're sure that the Eibush is going to protect you from chametz. That's the deal. Last day Pesach, if you did 7 days the Avodah, Hashem is going to protect us from chametz, and we celebrate it by dafke eating gebroks. Gebroks is a great idea, by the way. Every year we all hate Pesach, and gebroks makes us forget how much we hate it. I'm telling you, it's true. The gebroks is a great chap. 7 days nebuch, you eat the same food day after day. You eat the last day gebroks. By the time you finish with the 24 hours of gebroks, you're so shikah from gebroks, you forgot about all your complaints, and Pesach was a great Yom Tov. It's such a chap, the gebroks. If we did gebroks the whole Pesach, gebroks would be boring. It works like a charm. Shruya, if you think about it and you're honest about it, what the Alter Rebbe says, Simchas Yom Tov, it really makes you happy when you finally get the Achad Pesach and you can enjoy yourself. Huh? What's the big deal? The same matzah, the same kosher Pesach food. You can put it in water, but we're so excited. Gebroks, it's a gewaldig. It works. Gebroks, I know from myself, my home. Gebroks, you forget about all your complaints of Pesach. What the window with the gebroks. But anyway, so there's a lot of Yidden who don't eat matzah whole Pesach. I know such Jews. But Al Pi Chasidus you have to. Al Pi Chasidus you have to. Because there's something called matzah's reshus. Right? Matzah has 2 themes. Matzah has the theme of Amunah, and matzah has the theme of bittul. Right? It's flat, it has no taste, it shows on bittul. In addition to the idea of refuah. So, matzah is a holy food that strengthens our Amunah, it gives us bittul, and it heals us chas v'shalom for sick bagashmis and beruchnias. And you eat it Pesach. Why do you eat it Pesach? Because we're born as a nation. Pesach, we're brand new. Pesach, we're born. We're brand new. Pesach, we're born as a nation. We're born. Just like when a baby is born, the first thing you give that baby is Amunah. You don't teach him Torah till he's 3 and so on. A baby doesn't learn. In his first years of life, he hears about the Eibush, he learns about Amunah. In Yonam of Kedusha, of holiness. So each year on Pesach, when we're born again, we start over with Amunah. So the first day Hashem commands you. You have to eat matzah. Hashem says, I don't trust you the first night. I'm mechayiv to eat matzah because you need to eat Amunah, you need to eat bittul, you need to eat refuah. After the first day, the Eibusha says, chometz you can't eat. But matzah I'm not making you eat. It says in my Mori Chasidus that there's an inyan of eating matzah every day of Pesach, because every day of Pesach it's called matzahs reshus, the matzah that we eat because we choose to freely without a divine command. And it says in the Maimorim, in the Siches, matzahs reshus is higher than matzahs choiva. The matzah you eat, which you're not mechuyev to eat, is a higher madrega of matzah. In other words, eating matzah whole Pesach is giving you a munah on a madrega of mitzvahs, Hashem commands you, and a madrega which is higher than mitzvahs, where a Jew volunteers by himself to eat matzah. Okay, so that's one of the big kochs of the Rebbe on Pesach is matzah. Anybody got anything else? What else? If you go to the bakery, what else? Then you wait 20 minutes for the next box of cookies. Anybody, what else did we koch on Pesach besides for matzah?
Making sure every Jew has a matzah.
Okay. Every year did have a kazai is matzah. So that's on dafke kosher matzah and dafke. The Rebbe, api halacha, I don't know if Thursday I spoke about this, but probably a different group of girls. There are Jews who make machine matzah. You know that. Machine matzah is cheaper, cleaner, better, and kosherer. Machine matzah, the machine that's kneading your dough is not going to forget to mix it. The guy who stands by there by the bowl and presses the whole day like this can get lazy. Machines do their job. If they don't do their job, they break. But if they're working, they're doing their job correctly. There are from a Yidden, very from a Yidden, who dafki eat machine matzah because it is halachically more kosher. The problems that we have with it are so small. One of them is that the machines are metal and they can get hot. And today there's many ways to avoid that. And the other thing is that there's no lishma, right? L'shem matzahs mitzvah. A machine can't say I have kavanah l'shem matzahs mitzvah. There's no such thing as Jewish machines. I mean, there's no such thing as goyish machines either. There's just machines. You know what I'm saying? Nishka yid, nishka goy adoimim. But a doimim cannot say l'shem matzahs mitzvah. So you put it on, you say l'shem matzahs mitzvah, you take it out, l'shem matzahs mitzvah. We're very firm about it. But the part of the matzah is the zayah. Part of the matzah is the fact that Yidden worked on this with their own hands. They sweated when they made the matzah. It's what puts the amunah into the matzah. So the Rebbe wants every Kazayis matzah. The Rebbe wants Yidden to sell chametz also. And it should be dafka shmura matzah, handmade shmura matzah, because that's where the amunah is. And the hard work of the bubbas from Russia, or where they come from these days, in the matzah bekeri. Anybody else? No topics? That's it? What's your topic? Minhagim. What about minhagim?
They get annoying.
They get annoying. You're talking about what you don't eat, or cleaning for Pesach, or what you do at the Seder.
I don't know, all of it.
And what's das the Rebbe gekocht? Where do you find by the Rebbe kochen minhagim on Pesach? Do you know?
Mashtana?
That's right. I think we brought it up once this year before. Our manishtana is different than the whole world's. Why? Because the Lubavitch has to be different. If Chas Hashem Lubavitch be like everybody else, then there wouldn't be a Lubavitch. Everybody does the dalad kashes api sfara. Most Jews in the world, and I think this is true of Sfaradim also, but it could be wrong, the first kasha is matzah. Because matzah is a mitzvah say deiraisa. The second kasha is murder. Because murder is a mitzvah say derabbanan. The third kasha is matbilin. There's the yudim because it's a minig Yisrael. The last kasha is mesubin because that kasha was added and they took away the kasha by basat tzli. They used the fourth in the Mishnah. There's four kashas, but there's different fourth kasha. Shebachol leilas anu eich lebasar tzli shalok u'mavushal alayla zeh kulei tzli. None of your brothers ever did it by the Seder, huh? My kids did that for many years. The fifth kasha is Shebachol leilas anu eich lebasar shalbushal agad she'esmin fleish. Gekocht, gebraten und gedämmt. Danach von Pesach, alle gebratene Fleisch. Tzli, only roasted. So when the times of the Beis HaMikdash, they would ask that kasha. When the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, they took out the kasha from Tzli and they put in Mesubin. So Mesubin is last. But to say that is, Matbil is after Matzah and Morer, because first comes the Deiraisa, then comes the Derabban, then comes Matbil is a minig. So Chabad does like our best friend. Who's Chabad's best friend? Huh? I told you this already. Forgot. Who's Chabad's best friend? The Rambam. The Rambam has this Seder, like we do. And the first kasha is matbilin. The second kasha is matzah. Did you know that? The Rambam, I told this to you. I feel like I'm talking to a bunch of sleeping...
I don't remember that. It's different.
You brought it up. And I said the Rambam. The Rambam say that the four kashas are the same as ours. Matbilin, matzah, mora, mesubin. First matbilin, then matzah. So the Rebbe has a sikha on it. Why do we put matbilin first? And the Rebbe answers the kasha to bring out the point of minig Yisrael teirihi, that the minig Yisrael, a Jewish custom, which is not minat teirah, not even with divrei seferim, is not only important, it has a kedusha which is higher than the mitzvahs which are midrabanan, and even higher than the mitzvahs which are midayraisa, and you put them first, Now on Pesach there's an additional component, which can segue into another thing.
Personal geula.
Oh, there's an answer. But let me first finish with the matbilin. On Pesach, it's especially important because, and this is important to know. I mean, you know it, but still you have to hear it. Okay, the design of the Pesach Seder is that it revolves around the children. Right? It's a mitzvah Seder, to tell the story to the kinderlach. You have 3 or 4 psukim in the Chumash, right? 3 or 4 psukim, where when it comes to the Pesach Seder, the kinderlach ask and we answer. But the design is, you don't sit down the kids at the meal and you give them a lecture like you do in school, because they'll have the same outcome that you have in school. They're going to be bored, you understand? They're going to make trouble, they're going to light a fire, they're going to run out into the hall, they're going to go hide behind the house and play basketball. You sit at the Seder and you do funny things. And by doing funny things, you get the children to ask, Latmi atinekis. And that's the Iker Inyam and Hagim. Where do you have things that you do at the Seder that make children curious? And they should sit, and they should ask, Manishtana. And once the child asks, and you tell them that was a brilliant question, so then the child pays attention to the answer, is through the Minhagi Yisrael. That's another, in other words, on Pesach particularly, the role of Minhagim is very, very strong, very acute, very important, because the Minhagim is what brings the children to a space where they're prepared to ask a question, and once they ask the question, they'll pay attention to the answer. As we all know, the best way to teach is to create an engagement between the students and the teachers. You ask the children, ask, you answer, you ask, the children answer. And that's what you do by the Seder, right? And of course, the first thing you do at Miatinekis is, what do you do at Miatinekis? Girls, you notice? I hope you notice. You make Kiddush, right? Is that normal or not normal? It's normal. Except that everybody drinks the whole cup. Right? Now I want to ask you, what is your custom? When your father makes Kiddush, what about the baby Agafen? You're supposed to make 4 baby Agafens. Even though the first and the second year, there's a lot of Yidden who make only 2 baby Agafens. You know that. There's many Jews, including Hasidim, they make a baby Agafen in the first cup. The second cup, baby Agafen, the Bracha Shen Etzricha. The third cup is after benching, so you make another baby Agafen. There are Jews who only make 2 baby Agafens, the first cup and the third cup. We make 4. Because it's a Berachas HaMitzvahs, it's not a Berachas HaNen, and you make a bracha on the mitzvah, not on the Hanoah. So it's 4 separate mitzvahs, 4 separate brachas. So when your father makes Kiddush, I tell my children, my girls, to read with me the whole Kiddush. We all read the Kiddush together. They do it quietly, but that's my opinion. It's not, I don't know what the halacha is, that's just the way I feel. But the baby Agafen for sure, even if your parents told you, don't wait Kiddush with me, listen to my Kiddush, you should certainly say the baby Agafen for the same reason make all the other baby Agafens. It's a mitzvah. It's a baby Agafen. So Kiddush is normal, yeah? Kiddush is normal, yeah? Huh? On Pesach. Because the Dalit Koises, you drink your own cup. You don't rely on your father. And you drink Rev Kois or Kala Kois. One of the halachas of Dalit Koises is, you can't make Kiddush Be'ed Yom. You can't make Kiddush when it's still day. Because the Dalit Koises have to be drunk when it's for sure night. Because it's the Chiyuv of Pesach is Dafke after Tzezek Echovim, not Shkia, Tzezek Echovim. Now, so you washing for bread, washing normal or not normal? Pretty normal. Yeah? You just don't make a bracha, right? You talk, you don't talk, it depends on the house, yeah? Then you dip vegetable. Normal or not normal? Weird. Okay, fine. So the kid says, what's going on? But what do you do after you eat the vegetable? What do you do next? You go back to normal. You take the Lechem Mishnah, like you do every single Shabbos, and you break it. So the kid, what the kid's expecting? Huh? They give him a piece. Every Shabbos you break the bread, you give him a piece. Today we're going to break the bread in a piece, and you break the bread, you hide it. Excuse me, I want to eat. So between the matbilin, between the karpas, and the yachatz, where you break the bread, but there's a third thing. What is the third thing? What's the third thing? What's the third thing? You fill up the second cup. Now, normally at a meal, when do you fill the second cup? When you bench. So here the kid platzes. You gave me a piece of vegetable, it's a lochas, right? I wanted potato, not onion, because I don't want to have burny mouth. And they gave me a little piece. Why? Because everyone gets very from the yeah. Then you break bread, and instead of eating it, you hide it. And then you take out the second cup, and the kid says, Manishtana, we didn't eat yet. What are you benching? You tell him tonight there's 4 cups, not 2. And we're just starting the show. So minhagim on Pesach are very important. They're very important because they are a critical part of what is central to the Seder, the chinuch of the children. Latmiyat inikis. The Seder revolves around children. Azeidas apitera. That's what it's true of Chassidus. The nation of Israel is born. When you're a little kid, what do? You go to school, you get an education. The Pesach Seder, the matzah is about emunah. When you're born, you have emunah. It revolves around the children, because by the Seder, we're all children. Right? And you know, Mistama, that it says in our Haggadah, Kana ben She'el Ma. So it says in the Rebbe's Haggadah that Kana ben She'el goes on Kinar Yisrael Vayaveyu. Right? The Rebbe spoke many times that Chas v'Shalom, someone doesn't have any children, and he doesn't have a father. So, I'm sure you know the custom, right? I don't know what happens in your house. Is there a cutoff line when you ask the four kashas, or you ask it until you're 95 by your parents? Because every has a minhagim, right? Depends on the minhagim. But when the children finish saying manishtana, the adults all say manishtana quietly, and every child, including those children who don't have parents anymore, say tate, ich will bei die fragen vier kashas. There's a sikha from the Rebbe, where the Rebbe by Fabringen said tate, ich will bei die fragen vier kashas. Manishtana laila azem yikol aleilas. Was is other shenach Pesach? Because the tate goes on the Eibishter, and you want to be me'eded the kinar Yisrael v'yaveo, that Hashem's relationship with the Jewish people is like we're children. And it's very good for the Eibishter to look at us like little kids, because little kids do whatever they want, their parents can help, but they love them anyway, you see? So by the Seder, we are also children. Not just as the Seder around the little kids that are biologically little, that are chronologically little, and you do all of these things to keep them awake and have them ask questions and so on and so forth. The adults are also in a bechin of nar, of kiddelach, by the Seder, ki na yisrael vayaveyu. So that's another theme of Pesach, minhagim. Now the third thing, you mentioned the idea of personal geula. Personal geula. You know the story with the Rebbe? You know the story, you just don't know it. You don't know that you know the story because you don't know which story I want you to know, yeah? My mother was in that story. I remember when it happened. There was a midwinter convention of Sheikh Abad in Detroit. I was before Bar Mitzvah. So it was in the 1970s. I think I was before Bar Mitzvah. No, I'm not sure anymore. And my mother couldn't go to the convention. We had no money. But she won the black girdle to go. She represented the black. It was like a big deal. Mother left the house for like 2 days. The house almost fell to pieces. My mother was waiting for from a Thursday till a Monday with Gefelach. Don't ask. Anyway, they went to Detroit. There was a huge snowstorm and the airport was closed. So they couldn't leave. So the women who were in Detroit were in the airport. There's no planes. So Mrs. Popek, Aleh Shalom, she was the director of the Sheikh Abad in those days. She called up the Rebbe's office to let the Rebbe's know that the women who came to the convention from all over America, from New York, are stuck in Detroit because the airport is shut down, doesn't let us know. So Rabbi Klein says to her, wait. He goes into the Rebbe and he comes back onto the phone and he says to her, the Rebbe will verstehen was meint stuck. Oh, the Rebbe wants to understand what is the meaning of the word stuck. So Mrs. Popak, who's American-born, figured that the Rebbe doesn't speak a good English, and Rabbi Klein for sure does speak good English, and they don't understand the word. So she tried to explain it to Rabbi Klein, and Rabbi Klein says to Mrs. Popak, I think the Rebbe understands English. Even I know what stuck is. I drive a car too. The Rebbe was, what does that mean a Jew is stuck? If you're in Detroit for an extra day, that means you have to use the time for something good. And maybe if you'll do your shlichus in Detroit, all of a sudden the airport will open up and you'll be unstuck. And the Rebbe said to them, a Jew is never stuck. You have your plans, the Eibush has his plans, but your plans don't work the way you want. It's not the pshat, you're stuck. The Eibush has other plans, and then they were unstuck and my mommy came home. That's the end of that story. But that's what Yetzias Mitzrayim is all about. All of us are stuck. Right? This I can't do. This I can't do. This is too hard. This is too hard. We have a lot of Mitzrayims. You know, that's what the Rebbe is explaining. We have a lot of Mitzrayims. A lot of Mitzrayims. All our Mitzrayim have the same name, but we don't like to call him by his name because we're very sensitive. We don't hurt his feelings. The name of all our Mitzrayims is Yetzer Hara. You've heard of Yetzer Hara? You've heard of Yetzer Hara? That's all our Mitzrayim is the Yetzer Hara. But Mitzrayim means I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And there's a lot of Mitzrayims. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of Mitzrayim. One example of Mitzrayim is the Mitzrayim that comes from fear. Chamoida, I'm afraid. There are things in the world that make me afraid, and because they make me afraid, I'm stuck. What's another example of Mitzrayim? Huh? Weakness, taivus. They make me weak. When people give in to their desires, the more you give in to your desires, the more your desires control you, and the more your desires control you, the less control you have over your desires. You become weak. The thing about, if you studied the Mudechol, when they talk about the Western world, and particularly America, so one of the ways they insult us, it's a mitzvah to put yourself down. One of the ways they put us down, even though we're the best civilization that's ever existed, but it's a mitzvah to put us down, is we're consumeristic. Consumerism. You ever heard that word? I'm sure you heard the word in high school, yeah? You hated that teacher, so you wanted to forget it, but you heard the word, yeah? What does consumerism mean? Anybody know? Abanda olatetanix.
That people just like to buy more and more and more.
We take more out of nature we put in. That we're using the resources of the world in an unsustainable way. You just take. Consume, we buy. Why do we buy? Because I can have money, I can afford it. Consumerism. Consumerism translates into materialism. Our lives are very Gashmiistic. Gashmias, the nature of Gashmias is the more you have, the more you need. Especially if you look at your neighbor and your neighbor has something that you think is better than what you have. That whole cycle is another Mitzrayim. It's the Mitzrayim of weakness. What's the weakness? I don't need this. This is not good for me. I shouldn't have it, but I have it anyway. If I don't need it, I shouldn't have it, and it's bad for me. Why do I have it? So the explanation is my neighbor, the explanation is my community, the explanation is the reputation. The truth is my lack of principle. My lack of ability. I know this isn't good for me, and yet I do it. I'm weak. That's a Mitzrayim. So if we have two Mitzrayims, right? What's the first Mitzrayim? What was the first one? I forgot it already. Fear. The second one is weakness. Probably the worst, in my opinion, and certainly in my experience, is bad habits. The Mitzrayim of bad habits. You know what's a bad habit? What's a bad habit? What time did you go to sleep last night? That's a bad habit. How many of you went to bed before midnight? Good for you. How many of you went to bed before 11 o'clock? She's embarrassed to admit it. People, I want you to know, it's a one-question test. What is the key to a successful life?
Sleeping.
A bedtime. Not sleep, a bedtime. The key to a successful life is a bedtime, but you have to finish that sentence. A bedtime that you actually keep. Huh? It's interesting to watch adolescents. It's interesting to watch adolescents. Teenagers don't want to go to sleep. They're afraid they're going to miss something. By day, they walk around shiked, they're so tired. They're physically very strong. If I did what you did, I'd chalish. My guf can't do it. But the result of this is your brain is always working at 35% because the other 75% still in bed. I'm sorry, I was sleeping. I didn't sleep enough last night, so I forgot the math. It's 65%. Schlafnacht. Bad habits are so bad. Bad habits is to eat too fast. Bad habits is to talk before you think. Bad habits is to stay up late. Bad habits is you're in the dormitory, about to go to bed, and there's a bull session. You're going in for 5 minutes, and then it's 4 hours later. That's a bad habit. Bad habits are a golus, they're a Mitzrayim. Those are 3 examples. Fear, weakness, and bad habits. And there are others, like anger. There are others. And these Mitzrayim, anger is a good one. Anger is a very good, people who get angry, people who get upset, people who are hurt. Somebody hurt you. And you're 100% right and they're 100% wrong. You have to let go of that anger, not because they deserve to be forgiven. You have to let hold of that anger because you don't deserve that they should continue to hold you. If somebody hurt you and you're angry at them, they're still hurting you. It's a Mitzrayim. You're upset. It's not fair. It's talking not fair. Ooh, it's not fair. It's not fair. But if you want to live your life, you have to say, it's his business. I cannot afford to let him, me, be angry at him, because every day that I'm angry at him, he's still my master. And I'm not going to give him that satisfaction. So that's what Mitzrayim is. If the Yetzias Mitzrayim. Yetzias Mitzrayim means stop to be afraid. Yetzias Mitzrayim means stop to be weak. Yetzias Mitzrayim means to control your bad habits. And Yetzias Mitzrayim means to let go of your anger. And those are just 4 examples. There's a Ribuy Mitzrayims. This is what we call, girls, I'm going to say a very, very bad word, a really, really profane. I can get fired for this word. Okay, so don't listen. Okay, I'm not going to listen either. Okay, don't listen. Okay, this is what we call avoida. Oh, I actually said it. Avoida. Avoida means working on yourself. Working on yourself. Working on yourself means going out of these Mitzrayims. I was teaching Machon Chana years and years ago, and I was doing like a Q&A, like we do here so once in a while. I usually teach them from a text. We actually learn Torah, believe it or not. But whenever we have a free period, we do Q&A. So I'm sitting, there must have been, 12 girls, 15 girls. It wasn't as big a room as this. And these are all Machon Chana girls, all Bali Tshuva, that are from a year or 2 or 3, or some of them are coming back, but they're very idealistic. I would imagine seminary based girls are also idealistic, but probably on average they're more idealistic. Don't be insulted. You're talking the most amazing group of girls in the world, but they want to do the right thing, but they're still people. When you become about Tshuva, you don't lose your Yetzer Hara. Maybe he gets suspended for about 2 seconds and then he's back. But they're people. And if you know anything about Machon Chana's dormitory, there's jealousies, there's politics, and I don't talk to you and I don't sit next to you. The same thing you have over here. I was once walking out of here lunchtime, and a whole bunch of high school girls sitting. I told this to you? So one table had 12 girls, 6 on each side, sitting together crammed. Another table had 5 girls, another girl had 8 girls, another girl had 4 girls, and then one girl sitting by herself. It's heartbreaking. And you know what's the most heartbreaking thing of all? Nobody even sees her. Nobody even sees, and she's looking around like someone should invite her. Nobody even knows she's there. Nobody even knows she's there. Nobody even knows she's there. And you can't afford to go over to her because then your friends are going to say, oh, you're a neb, and you're going to lose your seat at your table. This is all part of Hasidishkeit in 2024. That's my opinion. But Machon Chana has that too. There are girls in Machon Chana nobody sees. So they're people. So we're sitting in this class, and we were talking about whatever. So somebody brought up one of high school girls' favorite expressions, I'm working on myself. So one of the students blurts out, Rabbi, I decided that working on myself means wishing I would be better. He took the whole air out of the balloon. It's like a poke a hole into a balloon, pop! Because what she said was so true and so depressing. What she's saying in plain is, people don't work on themselves, they talk about themselves. Yeah, I'm becoming a better person, do me a favor. The same fair there was a year ago, the same fair there was 2 years ago. We talk about it. Yeah, I really care, I'm really mamish, what are you doing? I'm talking about it. But you should know, people can work on themselves, and people can change. But there's a rule. Slowly, step at a time. You create exercises. You make for yourself a plan of how you're going to fix this midah, l'mashal. The midah of going to sleep late at night, which is probably the most costly ill in your life, because you literally walk around most of your life without a full capacity brain, and certainly without a full capacity of nerves, because you're tired all the time. Now one day you can have little babies, and then you're going to be tired, and you're not going to be able to help it. But now you could sleep, gesundheit, schlaft, chap da rein. But you could change a bad habit, but you have to create a plan with specific exercises, and then you have to do it one day at a time. So what's the Pshat Pesach? It's a special moment, right? It says Nagoda. It's explained in Chassidus that Nigla Alei Melech Malcham Lacham HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Chveida V'Yat Migom. We did not leave Mitzrayim on our own. Hashem put the lights on for a short while. He put the lights on, and when Hashem put the lights on, you know what happened to us? We felt very strong. We felt not afraid. We felt not weak. We had no bad habits, and we were angry at no one. So we ran out of Mitzrayim. And we knew instinctively that in about 20 minutes from now, we're going to be afraid again, we're going to have bad habits again, we're going to be weak again, and we're going to hate people again. You understand? Yetzias Mitzrayim, Hashem revealed himself and redeemed us. Pesach is a time of Yetzias Mitzrayim, means that every year when it comes Pesach, there's a light that's brought into the world that helps us redeem ourselves from our own stack, from our own stuff that we're stuck in, you understand? Now, if all you're going to do is eat matzah and sleep, nothing's going to change. But Pesach is an opportunity. B'chalal, a Yid's job is to go out of his limitations. B'chalal, a Yid's job is to be Yetzer Mitzrayim, to go out of one Mitzrayim, after a second Mitzrayim, after a third Mitzrayim, after a fourth Mitzrayim. Pesach, Hashem gives a special koyach. In other words, you pick the Mitzrayim you want to deal with. One, don't pick more than one, pick one. Anger, laziness, bad habits, or weakness. And there's more, I just gave you 4 examples. You know what's another great Mitzrayim, another one to put in the list? Doubt. I'm such a smart guy or gal, I think everything over one time too many. Doubt is a Mitzrayim. You thought about it, it was a good idea, but you thought about it again, there was a better idea, you thought about it, but you're still thinking about it. You're thinking about whether you thought about it correctly. Doubt is a Mitzrayim. You could pick one of your own Mitzrayims and say, this Pesach, I'm going out of this Mitzrayim. How? You do the work. I said a bad word a second time in one class, 2 dirty words in one class. You do the avodah of being mavada, that midah, one midah, and by the Pesach, by the Seder, this is the kavanah. The Pesach, your kavanah by the Seder is that you want to go out of this Mitzrayim, and if you're zoyich, the Eibusher will help you. It's a special time. I gotta go, but I gotta tell you one more thing which none of you thought of, which I thought you would think of. So we did 3 things today, right? What did we do? We did matzah, we did minhagim, and we did Yetzias Mitzrayim Aprati. What you missed is the 5th son, Pinelach, the 5th son. The 5th son, the son that doesn't come to the Seder. The Rebbe ate himself up about the 5th son. When the Rebbe spoke about the 5th son 50 years ago, there were many 5th sons. Today there's more 5th sons. As the time passes, more Yidden become further away. Yidden who are not through become more, there's the next generation, further away. There's the 5th son, the son who's not by the Seder. And you have to bring him to the Seder, you have to include him in the Seder. He doesn't even know how to be Eini Yedei Alishal. Doesn't have the intelligence to be quiet. And you have to bring the 5th son to the Seder, you have to give him a kazayis matzah, and you have to talk about Yetzias Mitzrayim, you have to tell him that he's a Yid and teach him what he has to do. This is foundational. The Rebbe is so right. The Rebbe is so right about the 5th son. And a lot of people know 5th sons. You know, sometimes 5th sons are not strangers. Sometimes 5th sons are people that we know. Cousins, distant relatives, a 5th son. To include him in the Seder. You send him a little matzah, you talk to him about Pesach. The 5th son is an obsession of the Rebbe's on Pesach, is the 5th son. Okay, Kidlach, I have you tomorrow or not? Some of you. Okay, Chag Pesach Kosher B'Samech. I'll see you tomorrow, Mitzvah.